I like to think of overwhelm as a signal that it's time to organize your brain. Organized means to know what you have and be able to find it when you need it. Knowing that definition, it doesn't mean that it has to look a certain way necessarily. But then again, if it's causing that conflict, there's friction in our life, we want to get more organized. And what's keeping us from getting more organized is that a mindset gap or a skill gap.
This is the Born to be Brilliant podcast, helping you harness the habits and unlock the tools to bring you more meaning, vibrance, and the personal power to help you shine like the diamond you are. Hey everybody, I have got Tracy Hoth in the podcast studio today. And Tracy is an organisational extraordinaire. I can't wait to have this conversation because this is a topic that I think is so important and valid to every single one of us. Tracy, a massive welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thank you, Lucy. I'm so excited to be here and talk about organization. It's one of my favorite topics.
I know, I can't wait. Just tell our audience, Tracy, a little bit about how you got into this line of work because it really is incredible.
Yeah, it was 2008. My youngest daughter, I stayed home with my kids, and my youngest daughter was going to school, and she wasn't allowed in one of her friends' houses. And I'd never seen that before. And I thought, I want to help people get organized. And so I started by helping that family for free at the time for before and after pictures, and made a difference in their life. And my daughter was able to go into her home and play. And it was just so fun to be able to do that and impact people in such a real way. In 2018, I got life coach certified, and I realized the mindset piece of it and the identity piece of it and what you're thinking and how all that scientifically works. And before that, I don't think I would have believed that people could do it on their own. And after 2018, I worked online with people, and it was extraordinary to watch their life change just based on us making a plan virtually and them doing the work and us coaching around the blocks that they had in their mindset. And then I grew my online business, and I was like, this is hard to keep it all organized. And so I started developing really simple solutions for business owners to organize their businesses.
Amazing. So you can kind of combine the two, right? The two strengths, you combine them and make it work as one. Love
Yes.
That. Oh, I love that. So our audience, primarily entrepreneurs, leaders, founders, they need this. We need this. I need this. My audience mostly know I have ADHD. I'm not one of these chaotic ones though. So some people are messy with that. I'm actually really, really tidy. And I've always been like that since I was a little girl. I was the tidiest person in my home growing up, more than my mum. And for me, that's always been like a coping thing. Like I like to work from a place of order. Even my best friend who I went to college with remembers, and we lived together for a while in our early 20s, and she knows me to be that organized person as well. And so I know that's part of who I am, but I think it does also, I feel like it's the easier thing to control. So when things feel hectic or when things can feel, all over the place, it's one thing I feel I can control is my environment. And do you see that often with entrepreneurial people, with business owners, like a need to be organized environmentally as well as in their business and systems? And talk to me a bit about that.
Yeah, that has so many aspects that are popping in my head. So I first hear clutter tolerance. People have different clutter tolerances. And for some people, they just can't work unless it's picked up. And for other people, they literally don't notice and they can get things done fine. And so I think that's really interesting to look at. And I think another part of that is just seeing where is the friction in my business or home in that it's costing me something. And so is it costing you time and frustration because you can't find what you need? Or is it costing you relationships because you're not getting back with your clients, or your spouse is upset because you are the one that's either picking on him all the time, or you're the messy one and he can't stand it. So it's kind of looking at where is it your confidence level? It's looking at where there's friction. And if there's friction caused from disorganization, then you need to prioritize it. You need to invest the time and the support to be able to change that for the betterment of yourself, obviously, and your health, even. There's been studies that show that if you even think about clutter, especially in women, that your cortisol levels rise. And even if you think, they did these study where they manipulated areas, and then the person would look at that area and they would tell them if it bothered them or not. And even the ones that said it didn't bother them, they did saliva testing and they noticed that their saliva, well, I don't even know what it was, but the chemicals in their saliva changed.
Wow.
Even if they said that it didn't bother them. So it's affecting our bodies and our health. And then you just prioritize what area you want to focus on, because that's the one you notice is causing you the most friction.
That's so interesting. So interesting. I love it when there's been, studies and
Yeah.
things that really show those things at a chemical level, like a biological level, what's going on with us. Because
Right.
it's not all just personality traits, is it? It's not just like, oh yeah, this person's tidy, this person's messy. Like there's so much more going on psychologically. And the output, then the quality of life as well, can be vastly affected by these things. I think it is frustrating when, if you live with somebody and you're really on a different scale like that, like I know what that's like. And I'm the kind of person who kind of sees things 360, and I get all the perspectives. I'm like, psychoanalyze myself here. I imagine this is what's going on. And then I'll be like, but he has the right to live the way he wants to live and have his, that if it doesn't bother you, it doesn't bother you. I have friends that are like me, and they have the same conflicts at home of like, oh, why don't they just pick up the things? Like you say, it's priorities, isn't it? And what matters. But there must be a way of, and this is your speciality,
Yeah.
of creating that harmony where you get to live and experience things that are in alignment with your values and how you operate best, with your cortisol levels nice and chilled, and being at your best in terms of productivity and your best self, and it not have to make someone else change in order to accommodate that as well. Like,
Ooh, there's such a balance there. And it
mm,
is a common challenge in a lot of people's relationships. And sometimes it's
yeah,
with kids that live in the
yeah,
house, or the husband or
teenagers.
spouse or whatever. Yeah. And it is part of it, like you said, is realizing you're not going to change them. You can have lots of conversation and make lots of requests. You can have common areas where you guys both compromise. And this is an area where it's kept neat, and they have an area where they are allowed to do and keep it however they want. And another big thing that we've noticed is that you can just take ownership of part of it. The
Mm,
amount of time that someone spends upset about it and nagging them and asking them and requesting and following up behind them and being just so, frustrated,
yeah.
when if you would just take the stuff and put it away because
Yeah.
that's how you like it would take 5 minutes, and you're upset for 2 weeks about it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
one of the women, just with her kids, she just was like, you know what? I'm going to take ownership of this because I'm really picky and I want it this way. And I will give them something else to worry about. And of course, you have guidelines.
Yeah.
But the ownership part really impacted her and made her a happier person, because she just
Hmm.
didn't have to be upset about it anymore, because that was part of what she chose to do.
Yeah, I love that. I've definitely taken that approach several times in the over the years and gone, no, this is my preference and I want it that way. So I'll make it that way. No one else has to do it that way if it's not their thing. But that's a
Right.
really interesting thing about kids. So I have teenagers, and where's the line between, well, I want their beds made, so I'm going to make them, versus them learning certain responsibilities? Or would you just say it's balance? It's give them some things, but know when it's, this is my thing and I'll just
Yeah.
do it. Like, is there?
Yeah. Yeah, there is no rule necessarily. And I remember talking to my kids about it now that they're grown, and they said, yeah, you never gave us a rule about making our beds or anything. But one of them makes their bed every single day. Like he has just wanted to do that. And, I mean, people all are just different, and you get to balance between what you're going to make a fight about or be really serious about and what you're not going to.
Yeah, and ultimately, like you say, they're gonna create their own preferences. And they
Yeah.
say, don't they, that like children grow up to either be exactly the same as the parent or the complete opposite from what they grew up in. And I think there's not whatever we do is not really going to affect that. I think the main thing I do with my children is just say, teach them self-respect. So it's like, look, do you want to leave the clothes crumpled up on the floor and wear them and like rags, or are you going to fold them neatly? And that's instilling some that just self-respect and care, like caring for their own belongings and looking after their things. But yeah, when it comes to
Yeah.
those preferences, knowing that like this is a me thing, not a them thing, then yeah, I like
Right.
that. That makes sense. That's actually really liberating to think of it like that.
Well, and they're all going to make it. Even if like a friend of mine would consider herself pretty messy, and her kids, that's a little bit of a frustration of hers, is that she instilled that in her kids, is kind of
Mm-hmm.
how she thinks about it. But then again, I mean, I've seen kids from all sorts and adults from all sorts of places, and they, like you said earlier, they're could be the same, they could be opposite, they could be a mix. And so I don't know how much of it really comes from those aspects of it. And I think one of the things, like, organized means to know what you have and be able to find it when you need it.
Yeah.
And so knowing that definition, it doesn't mean that it has to look a certain way necessarily. But then again, if it's causing that conflict and there's friction in our life, we want to get more organized. And I think about us on, where we're at now and where we want to be. And what's keeping us from getting more organized is that a mindset gap or a skill gap. And so a lot of times people don't know the skill to get organized. And so they get frustrated. Well, they don't even know what it really means. It just means what they see in a picture, and they think there's
Yeah.
no way I can have that. Or it's a mindset gap. And they believe that they're messy because maybe something they've learned since they were a kid. And if they believe that, they're not going to outperform their identity. So that's part of who they think they are. And unless they address that part of it, they're
Yeah.
not going to be able to get organized. They're not going to move past that because that's the kind of like the cap that they've put on themselves. So that's a really interesting part of it too. So if you're listening and you're thinking about that, it's like, is it a mindset gap or a skill gap or a combo of those two things? And what do you really believe about who you are and what you're capable of creating around you?
Mm. And I guess also then being happy with the identity that
Mm,
step into. And if you, because some people might be disorganized and not like that about themselves and
right.
want to have an identity of an organized person, or I'm an organized person and I actually like that. I'm like, no, I'm good with that. I'm happy with that. I don't want to let that slide. I'm good. So being, yeah, being comfortable in the identity
Right.
that you have. Hmm.
And part of it too, like I think about someone who's more cluttered. Clutter to me is delayed decisions. So they have
Mm.
things around them that they either haven't decided if they're keeping or they haven't decided where the home is for it. And
Yeah.
so if someone has more clutter, it might be just a stage in their life. They have young kids, or they just inherited a bunch of stuff, or they just moved, and so it's a little overwhelming with dealing with all of that, and they might not have time to deal with it. And a lot of times what I notice is those big transitions, people just get behind and then they feel so overwhelmed. They don't know where to start and they don't know how to keep going.
Mm.
Or, they started a business and they got some new clients and they never had anything set up in the back end in order
Mm.
to have some structures and to be organized. And they've never seen, like, even myself, when I started my business, I'm like, I don't know how to do any of this. I've never done it before.
Mm.
And so it's learning those things and developing the skill, and then having the mindset grow along with you, but not thinking the whole time that you're disorganized. You have the capability of learning the skill. You have the capability of shifting some of the beliefs you have about yourself as well.
Mm. Where does this correlate with ideas and concepts like feng shui and like energetics, where people will say, if you live in a mess, you're gonna, this is gonna happen or that is gonna happen. Like your success is determined by these things. Like, I know that I know this isn't something that you can go, well, there's a study that show, probably there isn't, but I'm sure it can't be evidenced. But is there a link as to why those theories exist? And, for instance, I'm not suggesting, that the green plant must be in the right hand corner or opposite the whatever, but just in terms of disarray versus organized, is there a link to that idea and what then we're able to create and bring into our reality?
I think the main thing that comes to mind with that for me is that we are going to either burn out because we're trying to, like, grow our businesses in the midst of chaos and disorder and disorganization and no systems.
Mm,
And so we're working 4 times as hard to do the same thing as if we would have a system that would keep things organized and simple. So we're going to either burn out, or we're going to try to hire someone and they're not going to be able to find what they need. And so you're going to have a cap on what you can accomplish. And maybe that's the same in your home. You're not going to be able to develop relationships because you don't want people to come into your home, or you're not going to have hospitality, like have people over and have dinners and get to know people and have, deeper quality relationships and be on time to things because you're searching for things. And so I think it's the level of your life that you're putting up with, maybe is a good word.
yeah.
But again, like, I don't think everybody has to be super organized. I think sometimes I notice, like, I can even work on organizing stuff when I should be out being visible or making an
Doing.
offer. So I can totally see where, oh, it's just so fun to do that. And then
Mhm.
other people are really good at doing that, but their back end's a mess. And so they have to spend more time over there creating those systems. And
Mm.
so it's a kind of a balance between all of
Yeah.
us, and just looking at it and saying, like, I want to grow my business, or I want to do this, have a purpose or a mission with my home.
Mm.
And how do I get there? And what needs to happen?
Yeah, that's so true because yeah, we can get busy organizing and never actually doing the thing. That's like the perfect plan that never gets executed. Mm,
Yes.
so yeah, I completely see that. The balance is so key, and you can be a really good doer, but you'll only get so much done if you don't have a little amount of organization going on in the background as well. Yeah, that's a really valid point, actually. I like that. When then our entrepreneurs that are listening are going, okay, am I like this or am I like this? And what, where do I lean and what do I need to change? It's more about just pulling it into something that aligns, right, with where they want to go. And I guess that's what you help business owners with.
Right. And again, with a business, I would ask yourself, what is happening? Like, where is there friction? Is it that you don't have a good onboarding process? And so you feel like not confident when you have a new client or someone new come into your business because you don't have a process that they go through. So it's really inconsistent and you're not showing up how you want to show up.
Mm,
So there, it could be that. It could be that you're duplicating, creating a graphic because you can't find the graphic that you had, or you can't find the things on your computer and someone needs your bio and you can't even find it. And so maybe then it's more, you need to focus on your digital organization and setting up a really simple structure there so your mind can relax. It knows where things are, and there's less decision fatigue and less frustration searching for things. Or the other part of it is kind of your calendar. Like maybe your time is just all over. You never know what you're working on when you sit down. So, what I found is digital organization, your time, and your processes are kind of the three main things to look at when it comes to your business and what is causing you the most frustration or wasting the most opportunity or time that you have.
I find digital organization can be a blessing and a curse in that 100% I want to be able to find the thing.
Mhm.
Okay, if someone needs the bio, it's there. There's the link, there's the thing. In the same sense that if I need a wire for something and I can't find it, I'll just go on Amazon and buy another one because it's quicker than searching, like going in the garage and rooting through boxes, which is that's I hate that, but that's my husband all over. He'll just buy another one because it's too hard to find it. So digital organization in file storage, things you need when you need them, absolutely. I I have found though, I love using project management tools like Asana for teams and working with teams. I think that's great. But for
Mhm.
myself, if I can go and organize something digitally so beautifully, it's so organized, but then I've buried it. And then it's out of sight and out of mind. And if it's out of sight and out of mind, it's then too many clicks deep to.
Yes.
So for productivity, I like things to be quite surface level. I've tried everything from written sheets to I have an electronic notebook, which is great. But actually, I love using my calendar and tasks in my calendar to
Yes.
really keep it very, front and center. Because otherwise, it is like putting it deep in that drawer that you're never going to open. And then it's like, oh, my desk is clear. I have nothing I need to do. It's buried.
Yes, it's that combination, right? And that's what
Mm.
I teach with digital files. I teach that we only need 5 file folders to organize our business. And I'll tell you what they are. The first one is operations. It's anything behind the scenes. The next one is marketing, anything out there. The next one's my content, anything I create. And education is anything someone else creates, all those freebies we download and programs and
Yeah.
certifications. And then the fifth one is clients. And so when something comes into my computer, it's either business or personal. But in business, it's one of those 5 places.
Mm.
So you have that super simple for your brain, like, oh, I know what goes in there. And you can then, once you sort all your files into those 5 things, you can go in and make a few subfolders. But I always say keep them really broad.
Mm.
So it might be money, legal, SOPs that are in your operations folder. And then the other thing that you said with that is then I have a dashboard, which is for me, it's just a Google Sheet that has everything I need. So I use the tabs at the bottom, like each page is a category. So
Mhm.
I would have like brand as a category, and every link I need is in that thing. So it's stored in my 5 folder system, but the links are easy access in my dashboard. So I can find every link I need. I have like if I create a funnel, I have all the links for the funnel, the thank you page, the registration page, the tags that I used, all the emails, like they're all linked there. So it's in one place. I always teach the wonderful one. It's in one place. I can find it quickly with one click because I love an organized bookmarks bar.
Mhm.
You put your business dashboard on the bookmarks bar and you can get to it in one click. So
Mm.
there's little tricks like that, and people like that's the skill part of it. People just don't know about some of that, or they think they're bad at tech, which you just have to learn, right? Because we've never done it before,
Yeah.
and create those things. So really simple systems that make it easy, and the one place that your brain knows, oh, that lives in my Google Drive. Oh, that's on my bookmarks bar in my dashboard, and I can get to it really quickly.
It's so much easier to then scale and grow if you have a team member, or you go, right, I've now hired somebody and I need to delegate this, and you can just hand things over so much more easily if you can just show somebody like, this is the system, this is where everything lives, and it doesn't live
Yeah.
in 10 different places under like 5 different names. And yeah,
And then
it's
you're almost embarrassed. I have a client who's super embarrassed, and like her team, she's very successful, but her team won't let her touch anything because and now she has this identity like I'm a mess. And so she's working just on herself. Like we help her organize certain things and then just practice the skill of keeping that organized and knowing where things are according to her brain and how she's thinking, so she can finally see herself as an organized person.
mm,
But you know, if you think and everybody's telling you don't touch it, you're messy, you know, that really affects how you believe and how you think you can find what you need.
mm. Do you approach things differently then, depending on the individual and what, like, how their brain works? Because people do, even our brains see things differently, don't they? So sometimes, so there's things we see cyclical and other people see them linear, and like just how we see the world and things.
Yes.
Do you
For
have to, like, yeah, work with that, with helping someone?
Yes, I think for sure we all have systems. So I think I've noticed recently lots of people are like, I just need to get some systems. I just need the magic system. And, you know, you'll download something about all the systems. And I think you already have a system. Everybody does.
Mm,
Like, think about how you get something done. That's your system. Now,
yeah.
you may want to clean it up. You may want to make it more efficient. You may want to document it so that someone else knows how to do it. But everyone has it. So let's see what's working in that and and then you'll see like what in your brain, how it works, like some of the things you were mentioning. And then you can make it better or conform it to how another person might be able to do it as well. And it's fun to see how that works for people. So it's like a puzzle. You're figuring out like what is it that works for them? How are they thinking about it? And how are we going to make it better? Or how are we going to make it more efficient or for them to get it done in half the time and then actually know they did it, everything they need to do. And it could be as simple, it doesn't have to be complicated. Like I am having someone start helping me with my podcast, and doing one system at a time like that is really helpful, or one process. And so I right now I'm just practicing how I'm going to want her to do it, and I just have a checklist and I go through it. And I'm doing a weekly training and I just made a Google Doc with a checklist and I go through it and I check the things off and then I make them not checked and then I check them off the next week and then uncheck them. And so just keep practicing like one system at a time and making it more efficient.
Mm, yeah, that's really true, because you don't really know what's not working until
Yeah.
and why. Like, if a system suits somebody, as I said, there are things that I think, well, that's a great system, but the problem I'm having is I've then forgotten about the thing because it's so buried. So the system's not broken, but it needs to fit the problem is being able to see it, or having some kind of reminder, or diarizing it, or whatever it may be. So
Right.
you don't really know until you get to that problem that, okay, we need something that makes that work for the
Right.
individual. So
And if you notice you're doing a lot of like, let's say you pick 5 tasks that you do regularly, like maybe that's produce a podcast or write an email or onboard a client, and you have a folder on your bookmarks bar called SOPs, like standard operating procedures or workflows or something like that, and you have the document linked in it, you're more apt to pull the document up because you can get to it with one click and then you can scan it and make sure you're doing everything or remember, oh yeah, I'm supposed to do this first. And so have it easily accessible, but put away where it's supposed to go. And so you can get to it easy when you're doing that, you're practicing that system or workflow and making sure it's how you want it.
I bet that keeps people way more consistent as well, because I've trained a lot of business people in another business, and they'll be taught the thing and it's great and they'll start doing it, but then further down the line you check in with them and they've stopped following that process completely. They've gone rogue, they're doing it their own way, and then they're wondering why they're not getting the results. And it's actually like, oh, if we go back to the system
Right.
that you were following, are you doing this, are you checking this step, and oh no, because they just
Yes.
stopped doing it and
Well,
fell
that's me
into,
too. Like with
yeah.
this weekly training that I'm doing,
Mm,
I am like, I would just do it however, but it's because I have it easily accessible that I can pull that up and look at it. But yet it's not all over. It's not sitting on my dashboard or on a piece of paper on my desk. It's like one click, I can get to it and scan it. So I
mm.
think that's helpful too. Yeah.
What would you say is the number one saboteur of being organized and on top of your, like, your systems and things? What crops up that really messes it up for people generally?
I think obviously it's the mindset. It's what they believe about themselves. So what is it?
Mm,
And if you were to ask yourself, why am I not organized right now? What comes up? There's your mindset. That's
yeah.
what you're believing is true. Then the other side of that is just they look at their business or their home or whatever and they just think it's all too much. I have so much. I don't even know where to start. And they think that starting in this one small place, you just kind of with anything, you just think that's not worth it. And
Mm.
so they don't start. And
Hmm.
so that's probably the two, I guess there'd be two sides of it.
Hmm. I
Yeah.
think the second that sounds to me like the one I would definitely relate to, and that's overwhelm.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you become overwhelmed, you either do that, like you say, you freeze up. It's like there's too many things, I can't do any of them, and then you just freeze. And I call that overwhelm paralysis. Just,
Yeah.
and it's also, if you're overwhelmed and you're trying to catch too many balls, you're trying to keep everything going, you don't end up doing anything fully or properly. And for me, that then causes things like rushing and or running behind on something, and then you're late, and then you're stressed, and then you forget something, and so on and so on.
Right.
And this beautiful organization then unravels because you piled too much on and became overwhelmed by it all. And I know for a fact that I translate that into my personal life. When I'm overwhelmed, generally, if I've got too much on and I'm overwhelmed, suddenly the smallest thing bothers me in terms of disorganization, because it's like it doesn't really matter that, I don't know, that pair of shoes is over there, but it's like the straw that breaks the camel's back, when you're like, and that it's like another thing, and so it just becomes like stacked. But that is a mental thing. It's not physically the thing that's the problem. It's the
Right.
symbol, like, and that's where I guess you're saying about the mindset. It's what that symbolizes in that moment because of the overwhelm.
Yes. So I like to teach people my 5 steps to get organized. They spell the word space:
Okay.
sort, purge, assign homes, contain, and energize. Those are the 5 steps. And those 5 steps work. And I've been using them for almost 18 years now. They work for your physical space, they work for digital files, they work for time when you're looking at your calendar.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to organize a project, they work for that. And they also work for your mind. And
Mm.
so if you learn these 5 steps, you can do anything, you can organize anywhere. And organizing your mind regularly is really important. So overwhelm is the signal to you, oh, I need to sweep out my mind. I need to
Mm-hmm.
organize it. I need to sort it all on paper, go through each category. And the categories might be errands, calls I need to make, computer tasks, project number one, home things, thoughts I'm thinking, worries I have. And you might write all those things down and you go back through and purge. Those are the decluttering steps.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're going to assign homes to them, which are spots on your calendar, or maybe thoughts are your mindset journaling time. You're going to save those thoughts so they go to your journal or whatever,
Yeah.
and then contain them with a start and an end time and date. And then energize is just, you have that freedom, you have that new energy, you can use that the way you want. And in order to maintain that, you have to tie it to something you already do so that you go back through the steps when it's time again. So I like to think of overwhelm as a signal that it's time to organize your brain.
Yeah, that's so, so true. It really is it's the having of too many things that aren't diarized or have a home, which is exactly what it
Right?
is.
The
So
clutter. Yes. You
yeah,
have
yeah.
clutter all over.
And so just getting that, yeah, that's so true. And I think that's such a saboteur of everything, because you just don't feel as good. You don't show up at your best. If everything's a hurry and a flurry, your mind's in multiple places, so you're not present, which is never fun for anyone around you.
Oh, I
And
like that. A hurry and a flurry. That's cute.
and yeah, we just don't get the stuff done
Yeah.
in the way that we could. And I think so many business owners spend so much more time consumed by things that aren't really moving the needle, or pushing them or their business or their goals further forward. They're just
Right.
consuming them, and that's why we end up feeling burned out, like we're spinning our wheels, and like progress is slow.
Right.
It is something it's not simple, but it sounds simple as being organized, and
Hmm.
it's powerful.
Yes. And when you know you can do that for anything in your business, you can organize a process using those steps. You can organize your mind every day for 5 minutes in the morning. And then you have so much more focus, and you know where to put the important tasks that will move the needle,
Mm.
and do those before you do the other things, because you have it organized. Like, the word organized works in all those places. It will help you in so many ways.
What would you say is the first step? So if somebody's listening and saying, this resonates so much, and I know that if I take note here, I will feel better. I have a philosophy that, we can change our state and way of thinking like instantly, just through choice, like choosing a different thought. Obviously, some of the steps we've talked about will require a little bit more time and effort and
Mhm.
input to get organized. But in terms of just that feeling for an instant shift in, I guess identity might take a bit longer, but just that
Yeah.
feeling, just to feel like more organized and
Yeah.
less chaotic. What would be a simple sort of first step that anybody can take today?
Yeah, I created the 15-minute declutter challenge,
Mm,
and it explains the 5 steps that I use,
okay.
and it gives some examples, and then you set your timer for 15 minutes. And I would say the thought that changes my mind immediately is, I have a plan. I
Yeah.
had a woman who organized and went through every paper in her house, which had kept her stuck for years. And she was super busy. She committed to 5 pieces of paper, sorting them every day. And of course, some days she did a lot more. But I have a plan was the thought that changed everything for her. So you have a plan, get the 15-minute declutter challenge, and start practicing just on your brain,
I love
organizing
that.
your brain.
Can we link to that in the show notes
Yes,
so people
yes.
can come and have a look? And
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah. My business is Simply Squared Away. So it's simplysquaredaway.com/declutter.
amazing. Well, you heard it, and we will put that in the show notes as well. I am certainly going to go and have a look at this. I just think that it's essential. And especially, I know everybody operates differently, and I respect people's individual ways of working 100%. But I
Yeah.
know for me, and I know many of our listeners will resonate with the fact that, as a wife and a mum, when you're running school runs and sports activities, and life is busy anyway, plus in my case 2 businesses and multiple people, there are so many moving objects. And
Yeah.
so like it can be very easy to get we're as high performers, we take on a lot, and therefore we can then become very overwhelmed or come unstuck, even if you are identifying as an organized person.
Yes,
So
for sure.
there's
Yeah.
always something I think that we can do. I love that you talked about these 5 folders, that things actually can come down to these simple things, because I certainly have way too many folders. So it's all
Yes.
organized, but goodness knows where.
Yes, and I have a training on that too that people can take
Yeah.
for free, so we can put that in the show notes as well.
Right. And just, yeah, just taking, like you say, have a plan, just small
I have a
steps.
plan.
Mm.
Yes.
Suddenly
Even
everything
looking
feels
at
good.
my big clutter, because we have a room that we put things in. We're going through a lot of transition. Kids are moving out. We might want stuff. So we put stuff in there and it gets super cluttered. And I'm like, that's fine. It has a home. I know where things are. And whenever I'm ready, and usually I schedule it on the calendar,
Yeah.
I can organize that room because I know the steps to organize. It's like no
Yeah.
big deal.
Yeah. That's my garage. It's like, it's a big mess, but we have a plan. It will be done soon, and there'll be things that need to go and
Yeah.
be removed, and things that will be rehomed. But it's so calming to think that you have a
Yeah.
plan. It doesn't all have to be all perfect at all times. It's all moving, isn't it? So,
Right. One
mm,
of the things, one of my clients, she said, Tracy, I'm just keeping part of the counter clean. I cleaned off this one part of the counter. I'm maintaining it and I've kept it that way for so long now. I love it so much that I'm doing another portion of the counter. And so
love
just
that.
like that, like simple, we could get your 5 files set up. And then
Yeah.
you maintain your desktop by keeping your folders in there, or
Yeah.
get your bookmarks bar done and just enjoy that, get really good at it, and then move to the next thing.
Mm. And remove distractions. I think that's really key, because there are so many distractions, aren't there? And they just
Oh
send us
my.
off at like different angles. One thing I'm trying to get like disciplined with is shutting down all my tabs when I'm done, because what I do is I leave things open for fear that I might forget something. And I
Right.
won't, because I've already put like something in place, but I leave it open if I'm coming back to it. And the problem is I then have a thing to do. I go to do that thing, but I'm immediately distracted by what I left open.
Oh yeah, I
And
have to do that. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
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 Or like
Exactly.
if you go to social media for anything, like, oh, I need to send this person a message, or I need to just get that contact detail from there. Before you know it, something's taken you off down some random rabbit hole.
Yes.
So I think that's a discipline, isn't it? Like just being able to stay in control of what you're doing at any given time, and set different times for the meandering and the
Yes.
freewheeling.
Yes. But it is hard. You go to your phone for anything and then 5 minutes later I'm like, wait, what was I doing here? Was I supposed to get? I can't even remember.
Why
So
am I in
yeah.
here? I did that this morning. I
Mhm.
was on a platform. Like, why am I in here?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that was it. That was it.
Yeah. So it just takes practice and lots of practice.
Oh, Tracy, this is such a good conversation. I know so many people are going to find this valuable. So we will put the links we mentioned in the show notes, links to you. So if anybody has any questions, wants to find out how they can get more from you, talk to you, potentially work with you, then we'll put all that information there. Thank you so much for just making things feel more peaceful just by sharing your wisdom today. That's brilliant.
Yes, it was a joy being here. We had a good conversation.
Yeah, I liked it. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and remember, go out there and shine your light bright, because you were born to be brilliant.